Are moments where you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? You
Yeah.
know, but it's like, now, Lord, you the Prince of Peace, so I'm gonna need you to come see about me because I'm freaking out. So, so it's like, who the peace is, so it's like, who to tap into to get it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's just like, I'm freaking out, I don't know what to do because you're not thinking of the source.
Yeah.
You're just thinking of what am I in right now? What am I gonna do? And that ain't gonna get it.
Yeah. And so at this point thank you for tuning in to So Sweet Sundays. I'm Sweets.
I'm Rozy.
And today we are just going to have a discussion. Me and Rozy. Hey, Roxy! We are going to just talk about a little bit of your journey.
Woo.
Ooh, what's that already?
Good journey.
Yes.
Indicative of a time.
Okay. So, how do you say your journey has been in this save?
I would say it has been, what's a good word to describe it? I would say eventful.
Okay.
Because I feel like I came in like learning the hard lessons immediately. But I would say it's also like incomparable. Like it's I understand that like in some of the most difficult times were some of the greatest times, were the times where I learned the most.
Yeah.
So as much as it sucks to have a hard time, you have you learn to appreciate it because you understand what's being birthed in those difficult times.
And so in this journey right now, do you regret the decision that you made to give your life to God?
No. Absolutely not. Because I think that there's no place safer than this. I think you think about well, for me, I think about the times where I wasn't saved and the things that I went through, and I remember just being kind of like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And it seems like when you're not saved, it's like everything happens all at once, right? It's like this powder keg of things, like this thing's going bad, this thing's going bad. But I think that having Christ to lean into and having that foundation and that structure and that unchanging hand to reach back for, there is a comfort when the storm breaks out.
Yeah. So before we have talked about you saying that you were saved prior to actually really becoming saved. So is it a huge difference of your mind of where you were at then and where you're at now?
Absolutely. I think I was very pride driven. I was very pride driven. Like I was making my decisions on my own.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to, you know. Whereas now I understand that there is a surrenderance, you know what I mean? Because my life it's not my own.
Yeah.
So I don't get to just run around and do what I want to do, say what I want to do, and be, because normally before that, I was like aggressive and I was mean and I didn't care. Whereas now it's like, oh, I can't say that. Like that wouldn't be pleasing to God, you know? So it's understanding the authority over you.
Okay. And so does that keep you submitted to him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be unsubmitted because then I'm in disobedience and then that's witchcraft. And then I think for me, the goal is wanting to be pleasing to him.
Yeah.
That's like always in the back of my mind. Even when I'm wrong and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to be a stench. I just always want to be an aroma, know? So that is always like in my mind.
And when you say an aroma, what do you mean by that?
Like a pleasing aroma, like, to God.
Okay.
Like after the flood and Noah, they did the sacrifices and it was a pleasing aroma to God, and he saw them, and, and he dried up the earth. And, so it's like, I don't ever want to come off like unappreciative or as if I'm in control, because I know that I'm not in control.
Right.
I've been in too many situations to think that it was just me, because it's not me.
Right.
Everything really good about me is because of God.
Yeah.
Because before God, this was not what you would have gotten. Like the way that I talk, the way that I move, the way that I think, it's all.
Excuse me. So could you say that you have a peace?
Yes. And that is only found in God.
Yeah.
Like this type of peace
Hmm.
is only from God
Why do you know that now?
because I've been in chaos. I've been in chaos. I've been in just unsettling moments,
Hmm.
unsettling times, unsettling situations.
Yeah.
Um even and I mean even now in the walk there are moments where you're like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?"
Yeah.
But it's like, "Now, Lord, you the Prince of Peace, so I'm going to need you to come see about me
Yes.
because I'm freaking out." So, so it's like, you know who the peace is,
Yeah.
so it's like you know who to tap into to get it.
Yeah.
Whereas before it's just like I'm freaking out, I don't know what to do because you're not thinking of the source.
Yeah.
You're just thinking of what am I in right now, what am I going to do, and
Yeah.
that ain't going to get it.
Yeah. And so at this point in um your journey, what can you say was a big lesson that you learned and you're like, man, I can take that for my tool belt for somebody else's journey?
Shut up.
Why
I
shut
think I
up?
said that in the car today. Like because we we speak ourselves into situations. We speak ourselves sometimes into misery. We speak
Hmm.
ourselves into these situations or just thought patterns that are not beneficial, that are
Hmm.
not helpful, that a lot of times aren't even pleasing to God.
Yeah.
So I think for me to quiet my mouth has
Mm.
quieted my mind.
Mm.
So if I'm not verbally just like dragging it and dragging it and dragging it, my mind isn't constantly being fed that.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, if I'm just quiet, it's like there is nothing for my brain to be overworking on.
Right.
Whereas when it's like, and this and that, and I'm so upset, and da da da, all those things in my mind is like, yeah, and this and that, and we're so upset, and we're da
Yeah.
da, and I'm like,
Right.
everybody's talking,
Right.
everybody's talking at once.
Right.
So for me, it would definitely say being quiet. I would say that would be the first thing.
Hmm.
Um,
How did you learn that?
by doing it.
What made you do it?
You told me to shut up. She told me to shut up. No, no, it was like just you go through stuff. I get frustrated. You know, and I get frustrated to the point where sometimes it's like it's way out there.
Overload.
Yeah, I'm in the abyss and I'm just
Right.
out here in the dark, frustrated.
Right.
And it was like just stop talking about it. Just
Yeah.
focus. Lean into God.
Yeah.
Don't keep dragging it. Don't
Hmm.
So for me, it was just like during the fast, it was just like, all right, I gotta just shut it down.
Hmm.
And so that's what I did, and it made me feel better.
Yes.
So for me, that's a win.
Yeah.
Anytime that I can overcome my own mind,
Yeah.
for me, that's big.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Was that hard to hear?
no,
No.
no, I think it was like, dang, am I that bad?
I know you do want a man.
Yeah, I know you do want a man. For me, it was like, hey, dang, I think sometimes when you're in something, you don't realize how much it consumes your life.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just like, dang, like, am I being that bad? Like, that's somebody that would get on my nerves,
Hmm.
So it just was like, all right, well, I know she ain't lying,
Hmm.
so shut it down.
Yeah. And not only that, but then you seen it was beneficial to you.
Yeah.
And then you see that God can come and work that thing out
Yes.
because he already knows what you need and what you need of and what the desires of your heart is. And so you don't have to drag it.
Right.
All you got to do is stand on it.
Right.
Like today, they talked about faith,
Right.
And that is just working the work of faith, knowing that you can't see it, don't know when, don't know where, don't know how,
Right.
but he's a God that he should not lie.
Right.
He's going to always come and see about you.
Yes.
And from my understanding and what I've seen on the outside, I've always seen him come through for you.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He does always come through.
Yeah. But it's like you got to leave it at his feet.
Yes.
You can't keep then picking it up. What is you going to do it? When you going to do it? How you going to do it? Who you going to use? What time they coming?
Yeah.
Like, and then you put it back down after he looking at you in a godly manner. Like, huh. And you put it back down and then you come back and pick it up and start asking him the same questions.
Right.
And then he just don't even say nothing. You just silent.
Yep.
And it's like, well, do you hear me? I was talking. Did you hear me? He's like, yeah, I hear you. I got ears. Of course, I hear you.
Yes.
So that was a huge thing for you.
Yes.
So how long have you been in that state where you realize, hey, he got it more than I do?
What's today? Today's I mean,
Yesterday.
you always know that,
Yeah.
right? I think that's the thing. It's like I'm in a place now where I know enough scripture. You know
Yes.
what I mean? To where it could be like, oh, God's not a man and he should lie, nor the son of man who should, he should repent.
Yeah.
Blessed is she who believe. Like, they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength.
Yes. Come
Like
on now.
I know enough scripture, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like faith without works is dead. So
Yeah.
scripture without application
Mm-hmm.
is not as effective.
Yeah.
It's like you got the ointment, but you're not using it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, just kind of digging into the fast, like, okay, Lord, what do you want from me? What do you need from me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, prepare me in whatever that means to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because whatever, I can't think about it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, if we're expecting this E320, exceedingly and abundantly above all we can ask, think, dream, or imagine, then
Mm-hmm.
what I think of preparedness may not be enough for what he has for me.
Yes.
So it's like, prepare me for all of it. Prepare
Mm-hmm.
me in the way that you would find me prepared.
Yes.
Because what I may think is prepared may not be what
Yeah.
he sees as prepared, because, if I can think it, it's too small.
Come on.
So it's like, okay, so just prepare me.
Mm-hmm.
Those were my things in the fast. Like, prepare me,
Mm-hmm.
give me wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
give me understanding,
Mm-hmm.
give me prudence.
Yeah.
Give me ears to hear and a heart to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me to give grace, because I've been given grace.
Yes.
So those were like my big points while
Yeah.
fasting.
So you went on a 10-day fast. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's huge.
God is
And
able.
right. Right. Most definitely he's
Yes.
able. Because you didn't even think that you could do that.
No.
But you could do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
Absolutely. But you don't be thinking about that before I think, before you're like in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I gotta eat.
Yeah.
Every day it's like, I can go from cereal. Y'all hungry?
Right.
Y'all want to, that's that's the
Mm-hmm.
carnal mind. That's what we're used to. That's what we're trained to do.
Yeah.
Um, so it was like 10 days
Yeah.
of what? So to do it, it just was like, man, like, because there's days I'll be walking up the stairs like, "Ooh, Lord, I thank you," because it's not me.
Yes.
Because I know if it was me, if we were like, let's go on a fitness challenge,
Right.
we're gonna do intermittent fasting, I would be standing outside waiting for the sun to go down so I could eat it. I would be like, man, it's 6 o'clock and it's
Right.
time,
Right.
So I
But that
know,
wasn't your fast. It was 24, 24, 24,
yeah,
24, 24.
just water,
Just water. Right.
10
So it
days,
wasn't no sun up to sundown.
nah.
We got real gangster with this
Yeah,
thing.
this wasn't no Daniel fast.
Right.
This wasn't like,
A Daniel lifestyle.
yeah, oh yeah, a Daniel
Right.
diet.
Right.
No shade, but yeah, a little bit. But it wasn't like, oh, like, it was a real serious fast.
Right.
Like I said, okay, I'm gonna read this throughout the fast. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be more intentional in prayer. Like, I think even the first few days of prayer, I don't think I really too much even asked for anything.
Yes.
So it was a very intentional fast for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was very intentional.
What did it do for you? Did it do anything for you?
I would say I have more peace, and I
Yes.
find myself thinking about that. Like,
Yes.
damn, it's like so peaceful. Like,
Yes.
it's been very peaceful. It's been very calming. Just relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
More relaxed. I think, still trying to continue that intentionality.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure I'm still reading, just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not fasting don't mean I put my Bible down.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done. I've been like, on my Bible app, I've been reading the Bible for like 160 something days in a row. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm out here.
Yeah.
But just trying to stay intentional,
Mm-hmm.
trying to stay, like, I'd be like, Lord, just put me in your bosom and let me rest.
Yes.
Like, that's like my prayer. Like,
Yes.
just keep me right there. So I think, like, I think I'm in my sweet pocket again,
Yes.
so it's comforting. It's a peace that's just different.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different.
Yeah. And that's that getting in that bag.
Yeah.
Coming out your bag. I
Right,
ain't worry about it.
yeah.
Right. Exactly. And you really don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's like, why should I?
Right.
It's either you're going to pray or worry, or you're going to worry or you pray. You
Yeah.
can't do both.
Right.
And so to know, man, like, he got everything.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, if he clothed birds. Like, how much more are we to him?
Right.
You know, it's just like, man, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point in stage, you know now that you saved, that you saved, that you saved.
Yeah.
Not none of the beginning, like, I know Christ.
Yeah, I know
You
who
know,
Jesus is.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus wept, like,
Right.
those things, and that you have peace
Yes.
through fasting
Mm-hmm.
and through communicating with him.
Yes.
And so what would you say your level of love is towards him?
I don't think I could level it.
No.
I think that just God is so big.
Yeah.
I don't want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I said I knew I was gonna cry. Um,
Yes.
God is so big,
Yeah.
and I remember like before the fast, when you came to the house, I'm like, who would do this to somebody before they started fast? And I'm just like,
Me?
right. I'm like, I'm toe up already. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do? But God is so big.
Yeah.
Like, you think about, and especially now, like reading the Old Testament
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about Old Testament God
Come
versus
on.
like God, like New
Right now.
Testament God, like
Right.
after Jesus.
Right.
Um, God is just so big. Like
Yeah.
he's in control of everything. You know what
Everything.
I mean? Like there's nothing that God does not know about. There's
Yeah.
nothing that God has
Come on.
not seen.
Yes.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we could feel that God doesn't understand. I mean, hence even Jesus, we have not a high priest.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that we can experience that God isn't familiar with.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's like when you think about that and you think about God wrapping himself in flesh, coming
Yeah.
down here to die,
Yeah.
it's like, how can you not love God?
Yeah.
Everything good and
Mm-hmm.
perfect comes from God.
Yes.
So it's like the peace, the joy,
Yes.
and like joy is so much deeper than happiness. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
when you think of God and all the things that he does for us, like
Mm-hmm.
waking us up, activity of our limbs. Even for me, it was
Yes.
like I was saying to myself, like, to even be able to do a 10-day fast, it
Yeah.
was crazy because it was
Yeah.
like to just be able to do it and not fall out and not
Yes.
be like, oh, I'm so mad because I'm hangry and
Yeah.
like all the stuff. Like the ability to do that and still take care of all my other stuff with my
Yes.
son and like run the
Yes.
errands and be over here and go to the school and do this and do like it's like understanding how much God loves us. Thank you. Understanding how much God loves us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how can you not love him?
Yes.
Because it's like he does everything for us. There's
Yeah.
people who wake up and like they don't know why, but they can't feel their feet or
Yeah.
they can't move, they can't get out of the bed. Like you kind of just start looking around like, man, like thank you for the house, thank you for the
Yes.
car, thank you for my son, thank you. You know what I mean? Like I thank God for so many things. I thank God
Yes.
for the prayers that people have prayed over
Yeah.
me. I didn't know about. Like
Yeah.
it all goes back to him. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is connected to him.
Right.
Anything that happens is all because of him
Yeah.
because he's omniscient.
Yes.
There's nothing he doesn't know about. So
Right.
it's like how can you not love God? It's like
Yes.
hard to level because I couldn't level what he has towards me.
Yeah.
So, you know, you gotta give him everything, even
Yeah.
in fear, because it was days where I was like, okay, look, you're gonna have to lead me,
Yeah.
and I'm scared,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's anybody to trust, I gotta trust you.
Right.
So, it's just getting to that place where you're like, nah, I trust you. I'm scared though, because I'm gonna be honest. It's like,
Yeah.
God, look, I'm scared,
Yeah.
but I know I've read enough Bible to know. I've lived enough things to know
Mm-hmm.
that He always shows up
Yes.
and that He's not forgotten about me.
Uh-huh.
And the weapons form, but they don't prosper.
Yeah.
So it's like, you get into that space where it's like, man, who wouldn't serve a God like this?
Yes.
So it's like, man, like, there's nothing I could do to repay. Like, there's nothing you can do to repay God. So how
Yeah.
can you not love Him? He gives you so much,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do to earn it,
Mm-hmm.
deserve it, repay it.
Right.
It's like, how can I even say, oh, I love you this much?
Yeah.
Because you can't count that.
To me, I feel like I love him more than life.
Yeah.
Life itself.
Because it's Him.
Yeah. I love him more than me.
Mm-hmm.
I love him more than I love my husband. I love him more than I love you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just because he first loved me.
Right.
when I was an enemy to him, he yet still loved me.
Right.
And then he gave me a chance to be grafted in through his son's blood. Like, just thinking about his blood still working. He had to send him because we was crucifying all kinds of cows and bullocks, and
Right.
it wasn't gonna be no more meat and animals ever as much as we seeing in the world. You know,
Right.
it's just not enough.
Right.
It's like we gonna start turning on each other to look like them thighs look pretty good, you know, because like we got that much sin,
Yes.
and that the
Absolutely.
blood keeps going
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, it's just crazy,
Yeah.
you know. So, man, like, this man, he know how to do a thing.
Yes.
He just know how to do a thing. Do sometimes you ever think about, like, man, I was tripping. I could have been loving him. I could have been having my life.
Yeah. Because I think having, not that I started super late, but
Yeah.
you know, like it's you think
Well,
about
you was
like
9,000.
yeah, I was like, you know, 8,500.
Right.
I think that it, you know, you definitely think of like, man, like especially for me, I think about like, man, if you had been tapped in, how different things would have been.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
and like, I'm not one of them people that are like, oh, I regret this and I regret that, but I definitely think about that. Like, boy, if I had had some wisdom up on me,
Right.
if I
Right.
had my wisdom on me, you
Right.
know, I wouldn't have
Right.
been this and I wouldn't have
Right.
been doing that. And, you know, you definitely think of how far you've come, and you think about who you are now
Yeah.
versus who you were then, you know, emotionally led and no wisdom,
Yeah.
no wisdom, mean,
No discernment.
no discernment,
Yeah.
no discernment.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
just just very emotionally driven.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that wasn't it.
So, but we do understand that a lot of those things help shape and make and mold you for your journey so that you be able to appreciate him. But can we
Yes.
talk about a choice and a decision?
Oh yeah. Of course we
How
can.
big is that?
Humongous. I think bigger than I think a lot of us recognize.
Okay.
Um choices and decisions, they can change your life for a season.
Yeah.
Um and a season isn't necessarily 3 months, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because we tend to think, oh, a season, winter, spring, summer, and fall.
Right.
We're talking about spiritual life seasons.
Yeah.
Um, and that wrong decision can put you in bondage.
Mm-hmm.
It can it can just stall your life out.
Yeah.
It could put you into a space of being in disobedience,
Mm-hmm.
getting a whooping from
Right.
God.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we take a lot of decisions lighter than they need to be taken.
Right.
Um, but it's a big deal. It's a
Huge.
really, really big deal.
Right.
It's huge. Like my prayer now is like, God, I want you in the center of everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I can't do this by myself.
Right.
This thing called life is not a game.
Mm-hmm.
The devil is very much alive
Yeah.
and working.
Yeah.
And if I can't lean into God for my decision or my choice, we've got a problem.
Right.
Um, though it's not always the popular opinion,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. It's just there is no way that you should be making any type of decisions without consulting God. Now, when
Right.
you're not saved, you don't think about it like that.
Right.
You're like, oh, it's cool, it's not a big deal.
Right.
It's not cool, and it is a big deal.
Right.
Um, because that thing will have you toe up
For years.
for years
Even
and years.
decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's people who've made wrong decisions and have died in the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
You know, put themselves in something they should have never been in the first place.
Right.
And, you know, all the effects of it along the way, you know, so it's just like, no, it's a big deal. It's
Yeah.
really, really a big deal.
Right. Right. So now do you actually go and consult him before, like, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding in all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path?
Yes.
Do you use that scripture
Yes.
to your life?
Because I think even I think that scripture is so big because it's not even just like indecision.
Uh-huh.
It's in life.
Right.
Because I can't lean into my own understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so funny because this morning like I was in prayer and I'm like, okay, Lord, like, you know, I trust you. I'm trying to not lean into my own understanding. I'm trying to not let my eyes deceive me. And I said like, because it seems as though nothing is happening. And it was like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's not that something bad is going to happen that's going to deceive me. It's don't let the fact that you don't see anything deceive
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I get it, Lord. I get
Right.
it. You know, like,
Right.
oh, it's like, I got it's revelation. I get it, you know?
Right.
So I mean, like for me, I have to always not lean into my own understanding.
Right.
But in decision, absolutely. Because again, feelings, emotions, all of those things, I can't make a decision based off that.
Right. Right. So, what would be like the biggest advice you can give somebody who's just now giving their life to Christ?
Um, Trust the process.
And what does that mean?
Trust the process, meaning like a lot of times we have to, if you're seeking him
Mm-hmm.
and you're even in seeking him and asking him for something, in order for you to get something, there is one, a level of preparedness that you have to be at.
Yeah.
But then also when you ask him for something, you have to be prepared for what he says.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes the process is ugly. Sometimes it's not what you thought it was. A lot of times it's not what you thought it was going to
Right.
be. Sometimes it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're crying.
Right.
Sometimes you're laughing.
Right.
It's a lot of ups and downs, but you kind of just have to trust him. That's
Yeah.
leaning into not your own understanding, but
Yeah.
into him.
Yeah.
So, I would definitely say just trust the process. Understand that God don't really work in a straight line.
Yeah.
He kind of works in like this crazy roller coaster type
Right.
squiggly line that's all over the place. He doesn't color within the lines,
Yeah.
you know. And a lot of times, God will be he's big on impact. For me, sometimes he's big on impact, small on direction. Or,
Mm.
you know, meaning like this big thing is about to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, go do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Go there.
yeah. And I'm like, but why? I don't. And
Right.
I'm just like, all right, I'm going to just go do it.
Right.
But in doing it, it's like turning the key to
Mm-hmm.
something else. So
Yes.
it's like, even though the direction may seem little or it may seem hard or it may seem difficult, it may be like, sometimes it's crazy. Like, what you
Yeah.
even do? That don't even make sense, you know?
Right.
But it's like, because he knows the ending from the beginning, you
Mm-hmm.
just have to trust the instruction.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, he's not really big on details. Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, he don't tell me everything.
Right.
So it's like, well, okay, you got the plan.
Mm-hmm.
You got the book. I ain't got the book.
Right.
So it's like understanding that even he's in the little things, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just like they say, oh, it's the small foxes that destroy the vine. It's
Right.
also the small foxes that get you to that nature of preparedness that you want to be at.
Right.
So it's in all things, just understanding that even though it may be weird, because I mean, like anything faith filled is going to be weird to people who not saved.
Yeah.
You know, anytime you step out big on faith, the people who are not saved are not going to get it.
Right.
And you can't listen to that. Being saved and trying to walk this thing out for real in the right way, you're going to be the minority. We
Yeah.
talk about that all the time.
Right.
But it's just trusting God and understanding that it doesn't matter what people say because God's not moved by the people, he's moved by your
Yes.
faith.
Yes.
So just do what he says. Whatever that process is, whatever it may be, just do it.
Yeah. No matter what.
No matter what.
Even when you can't see it.
Even when you can't, especially when you can't see it.
And you can't understand
And
it.
you cannot understand it.
And
Every
has it
time.
and has it always come out to work for your good when you listen to him?
Yes. And I mean, sometimes it's like, what? What? Why am I doing that? You
Yeah.
know, and sometimes it's weird, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it always works out.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
always works
Okay, so I just wanted to talk to Rozy, today just about her journey, about what that looked like. Was that something that you were glad you did? Were you regretful or anything? Is it something that you would take back?
No. I wish I had clicked in quicker.
Yeah. How
Sometimes
much quicker?
about
Like
6 years
years?
ago quicker.
Oh, okay.
6, 7 years ago quicker. 8,
Yeah.
maybe 10. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I had did it sooner,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I feel like the amount of wisdom that I have now, like it's just totally different. The
Yeah.
amount of discernment that I have now is different.
Yeah.
So I feel, for me, I just feel like it's something that if I had done it sooner, I would probably like be way further along.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I do have a question. What made you really get it? What made you get it?
Um, I think for me, because I had, you know, I grew up in church. My mom made us go to church like all day, every weekend.
Yeah.
And then on Saturdays sometimes in choir rehearsal and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had been in and out of church. Like in college, I was in and out. But I think that when my mom passed, it was like, girl, you better hold on to something.
Yes.
You better grab something and hold on, because
Yeah.
it's about to turn up.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just remember having that inclination of like, okay, things are bad. This is crazy. My mom is gone, and I'm like, okay. Like I remember, and I think I even said to you, like, I just feel like even though things are bad, I got to keep talking to him. I got to keep talking to him. I got to keep talking to him. And so like I had kind of got that ingrained,
Yeah.
and I think that because I saw how he carried me through my mom,
Yes.
I was like, if he can carry me through this,
Yes.
that's it. Like
Yeah.
I'm convinced,
Yeah.
because I just knew I was gonna be in there like them people
Falling
on,
out.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the people on Medea, the
Right.
when the grandpa died.
Right.
This is your granddaddy. Like I
Right.
thought I was gonna be in the funeral
This
home,
is
like,
your mother.
right, take me with you, like
Right.
jumping in the
Right.
thing, and
Right.
just the peace that he gave me when she passed. I just was like, yeah, this is it. This is crazy.
Because you started your journey slightly before she passed.
Right before she passed.
Right.
And I remember her being sick, and it was like the back and forth. And you were like, how you feel? I'm like, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go well.
Yeah.
And she ended up passing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, all right, like,
Yeah.
this it, Lord. Let's see.
Yeah.
We jumping in with both feet now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, man, because my mom, you know, she believed in God. And,
Yeah.
you know, she was like a woman of faith. She
Yeah.
really was. So I just was like, man, like sometimes I think, man, if my mom could see me now, like, what would she say, you know? Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because he gave his all about me.
Yes.
And he carried me through that.
Yes.
And I remember saying, like, man, if I could get through this,
Yeah.
like, it was that feeling of like, if I can get through this, I'll
Yeah.
be okay.
Yeah.
And I remember we got through it.
Yes.
And you came and you were there, and like and it was a crazy day.
Yeah.
It was a
It was
crazy
real
day.
crazy day.
But I just remember being like, all right, if I can get through this, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And God really carried me through that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like he had me in his hand and carried me through that.
Yes.
Like, and I'm like, man, because I remember being like, man, you don't even have to show up, because I'm new here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm new to this.
Right.
And he just showed up.
Yeah.
He showed up in a big way. In a big,
He showed
big way.
out for real.
Yeah, he showed up and he showed out. So I just remember being like, man, you get me through this?
Yeah.
Like, you got me.
Yeah.
And that's really what kind of clicked it in for me. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this is it.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that particular time you were going through other things as well.
Yeah, a lot
And
of stuff.
so it was just like he covered you through it all.
Yeah.
He covered you through it all.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't miss not
Nothing.
one I.
Nope.
Didn't miss one T. And he did it to allow you to have peace in the midst of the storm.
Yes.
You know, was just like, man, who wouldn't serve a God like that?
Right.
That gives you the idea when you think about it, like, well, who wouldn't serve
Right.
a
Like,
God
why
like
wouldn't
that?
you want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so from there, it was like, ha ha.
Right. It's like, there's something to this man she talking
Yeah.
about all the time.
Right.
So
Was I overwhelming you with my man?
no, it wasn't overwhelming. And I think like I was so intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you call me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like, you see, I'm like, no, I'm up. What you doing? Nothing. Because I'm asleep. I'm not doing anything. So I think
But
I
I'm
was
always
intrigued.
up.
Yeah, you're
Roboting and
yeah.
doing
She's
all
like, oh, I'm
kinds
just
of
cleaning
shit.
these floors. I'm doing
Right.
this. I'm like,
Right.
these people don't sleep. These people don't sleep. They still don't sleep.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, I think I was intrigued. You know, like you, the way that God is shown through you is very intriguing. It's very inviting. It's very personal. So.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we think of God as God, like the great I am, the
Yeah.
big God. And then
Right.
it's like, oh, this is overwhelming. It's too much. Oh, my goodness. Whereas it's like, then God kind of comes in this lady who's like so pretty, and then she's nice, and then she's funny, but then she's like, oh, but let me tell you about Jesus. And it's
Right.
like, oh, okay. Like, you can't be like, girl, get out of here. Don't nobody want to, you know? So the way that God, like, he emits from you and through you, it's like, you can't help but listen.
Yeah.
You can't help but be intrigued, because it's like, we know when you talk about God, we know you believe that.
Yeah.
We know that you 100% are convinced, you are 100% sold out.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang, like, well, we know, well, for us, we know God is real. It's just
Yes.
that we don't, at that time, we didn't know him.
Yeah.
We didn't have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
So it's like, of God, and you know of God like as God, but you don't know about God as like the lover,
The
the
friend, the
friend, father,
father,
the keeper, the comforter,
yes,
the waymaker, the
the
miracle worker.
provider,
Yes,
honey.
you don't know him as that thing. You
Yeah.
just know God.
Yeah.
He created the whole earth, the
Right.
universe, and it's like, whoo, this is intimidating.
And it's like the end.
Yeah, and it's like, and what else? Like,
Right.
we don't really, and I mean, most of us haven't. Like at me, I had a Bible, I wasn't
Yeah.
reading it.
Right.
So it's like, but you the way that you explain it, the way even in your advice, it's Bible. So it's like if you gotta be kind of crazy not to tap into that.
Yeah.
I don't think that you could be around you and not get close to God.
Yeah.
Like it's in you somehow,
Yeah.
some way.
Yeah.
Like you gonna find out. You
Yeah.
gonna get to know him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then when you get to know him and you know that he pure love, man, it's over by then.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, man, like he loves.
Yeah.
And he's overwhelmingly in love with you.
Yeah.
You know that every time you call, he came.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, every
like,
time. The millions
that
of
is
times.
so crazy.
Yes.
In the midnight hours, in those 2-3 o'clock hours, when he say, "Get up, I want to talk to you."
Right, and I'm like,
Yes.
yes.
And it's like, who wouldn't?
Right.
This man creates everything.
Absolutely.
He just says it and it is.
Right.
When God said it, it settles it.
Yes.
And so the fact that he's in love with us,
right.
Like, why wouldn't you want to be in love with him?
Right.
Yeah. And then the fact that he talks to you.
Yes.
Because he's not a silent God. No. That he talks to you, that he loves you, he touches you, he holds you, when you need to be held. It's like, man, like this man, shoo.
Yeah.
Every time he just choked me up. It's like, you want a hug or something? Yeah, I want a hug from the Lord.
Yes.
It's just like, he just that.
Yes.
He the I am that I am.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, he's that.
Got it. Yeah.
Whoever you need him to be, he's him. He's them. He's her. He's everybody.
Yes.
So that's him.
Yeah.
You just I get giddy on the inside. Like I get all butterflies. Like, oh my boyfriend. You just get excited because like, man, he cares.
Yes.
He loves you. He wants us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, man, like that's it right there to know that he wants you. Man, just to spend a little time with him. That's crazy.
Yes.
That this big old amazing
right.
man wants to spend time with us.
Yes.
That he inhabits the praises of his people. Just to hear him, hear him say, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant."
Yes.
In the end, for me,
that's it.
That's it right there. I ain't looking for my mama. I'm gonna be like, "What's up? Pick ups when she there," but I ain't looking for her. I'm looking for the man who died for me.
Right.
The one who saved me. Yeah. I want to see his scars. I want to tell him, thank you. Face to face. I want to watch him dead eye.
Yes.
And tell him how much he means to me. How I am nothing without him. Man, just to be able to say, thank you.
Yes.
Because he ain't have to do it.
Right.
He can leave us in our mess.
Yes.
He can leave us unloved.
Yes.
And for me, that's all I ever wanted is just to be loved. Right. And so to know this man loved me in spite of me, in spite of who I am, in spite of the things I did, in spite of the things that I thought. Yes. And so that's just really the icing on the cake now that he even prepares me for that. That he wants to spend time with me now, that he wants to love on me now, that he wants to hear from me. That's an amazing thing. You know how sometimes when you feel like you talk so much, and then people be like, "Dang, oh my God, won't she shut up?" And then they just walk off on you. Yeah, right. He don't do that to you. Yeah. You know, he let you vent. Yes. Sometimes when we be all crazy and just going through what we going through, he lets us vent. Yes. Let us come and lay on his lap. Yes. Just come and love on us. And sometimes he gotta spank us. Yeah. And he corrects us. Cause that's love and being chastised. Yes, it is. That's love, So to know that man want to spend time with you. He want to be with you. He don't get tired of you. That he really is delighted in the fact that you are prepared and ready. Like, sometimes I feel like, you sit up and you get ready, like, oh my God, like, it's my time with him. Right. Like, when you get your time with somebody that really means something to you, that's special. Yes. So the fact that we get to spend time with him, yes, is like so special. Yes. It's an honor, yes, to be able to be loved by him and to love him. It is not a hassle. Right. It's not like, oh God, I gotta do this. It's like, man, I get to do this. Right. Man, to serve him for the balance of my days, I get to do that. Yeah. That is a pleasure. Yes. Well, I'll talk your mouth off and your face off and your ears off about God. It's loving on him. I think the fact that you caught on. Oh, thank you. Me too. I'm glad about that. That you get a relationship with him, that you get to talk to him, that you get to spend time with him, that you really get to see and feel that overwhelming love, that no matter what goes and what comes, you know that he loves you, and that ain't no turning back now. Because it's like, it's crazy to feel all this love and then to go back like, oh, I want to be hated. Right. To go back to be hated. Right. And to be dogged. Right. And beat upside the head. Yeah. Because that's all the devil got for you. Yeah. Is to tear you up. Yes. To come kill, steal, and destroy. Yes. But God comes to love on you. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let you go. What they say, I ain't going to hold you. Right. I ain't going to hold you. We be here like 19 days later. Right. I'm like, oh, I'm done with my fast. Fast complete. Right. That's so easy. No, that's while you sleep and wake up. Right. Sleep and wake up and I'm still talking. I'm off. I'm back. And we're back. Right, exactly. Folks, that was the episode of So Sweet Sundays. I'm Sweet. I'm Rozy. And we out. Get your diamonds in them pearls, baby. I'll be right back. Put triple digits in your bank account. Yes, on like that. And I know you don't need it, but I